Not really.
Global warming, it's a great thing.
That's a great thing.
So as this is being recorded, we are 4 days away from Christmas. You got any big plans coming up?
I am laying low until the new year, and hopefully right after the new year, you'll be hearing this live. Not live. It's not live. It'll be available to people.
Eventually we'll be
Yeah.
the week of we're recording it, hopefully. But yeah, so hopefully everybody has a good Christmas, good New Year's. Do you celebrate Hanukkah?
I do. I'm a dual faith household, so we do Hanukkah. Yeah.
I saw your Facebook post, or Melissa's Facebook post, your wife,
Yeah,
and I was pretty jealous of her Hanukkah present.
Yeah, she went into the basement and found her Hanukkah gift and opened the box.
Was she not supposed to see it?
No.
Oh no.
And she even tried on the shoes.
She's using it already.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're talking about a Peloton bike. Did you get 2 bikes or is it 1 bike and 2 shoes?
1 bike, 2 shoes.
Oh, so
yeah.
you can't double team?
No, but it has a webcam in it. You can ride with
I
other
know.
Peloton users.
I want one real bad.
So, yeah.
But never gonna happen. So once again, we're really excited here to have a great guest this week, talking about a very important topic, which we'll get to in just a few minutes. With us in the studio today, we have planner extraordinaire, venue consultant, and all-around badass Brandi Hamerstone.
I love that introduction.
Of the All Events Planned Empire is what I call it. Brandi, welcome.
Welcome
to the podcast. How are you doing?
Awesome. That was the best intro ever. You literally could not have done better.
Maybe we'll throw some music in there in post
Yeah.
to spruce it up a little bit.
Yeah. Little
Sound
jazz,
effects.
trumpets.
So I said empire because it always seems like you're doing everything. And you always have a new project you're working on. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about All Events Planned and your newest venture, All Events Consulting?
Yes. So All Events Planned does wedding planning, and we branched out and brought on staff. So there are wedding planners and myself that you can work with. And then All Events Consulting started, and we work with venues to help make them more profitable. And opening new venues when you're starting something and wanting to know the best route for that. And then we have All Events Coaching, which is helping new planners start their
Oh, I totally forgot
business.
about that. I didn't put it in my notes.
That's okay. I can convey that, but that's it's not a local thing. It's more other planners in other states that are wanting to start a wedding planning business, getting them started with the necessary details, ideas, paperwork, contracts, and things like that.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
Thanks.
Is it just planners, or can you help other vendors as well?
Well, I mean, I think any
It all
business
kind of
opening,
applies,
yeah,
right?
it's all sort of the same, but it's focused on, and I'm getting the most from other wedding planners that don't know where to start or have literally no idea what that means besides putting up an Instagram page and a web page.
Right.
Which is not necessarily the only thing you have to do.
Right.
Although you would not know that.
I think long term it's going to be perfect for photographers because there's so many of us that need planners' help in so many different ways throughout the day.
Well, you guys especially, and I know you guys did a video and I watched you and Melissa talk about putting together a timeline. And I mean, that was intense even as a planner. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I guess I don't think about how much goes into that timeline. And it's a lot. So if we're not doing it, unfortunately it falls on somebody to do it. And it's typically with good photographers, they take it on, unfortunately.
I like a good timeline.
I love a good timeline.
I think we talked a little bit last week about a good timeline.
Timelines come up every week. It's my favorite. I can't wait to talk about timelines, but we're not doing that today.
You know, a whole podcast dedicated timelines.
We'll get into it a little bit, but Brandi, so I don't know a whole lot about how you actually got started in weddings.
Oh, Lord.
Let's hear the Brandi Hamerstone origin story.
Oh my gosh. Okay, it's so long. I need about 45 solid minutes to give you the full story, or I could kind of condense it, which I think I should do.
We could just spend 15 minutes on the topic and that's it.
I don't know if 15 minutes is too long, too. I went to college and got a degree in hotel restaurant management. And I worked at a private club in Pittsburgh doing events. It was a Rivers Club. It was downtown Pittsburgh.
What college did you go to?
Pittsburgh Culinary.
Oh, nice.
But no, I don't cook. It's like immediately the question. It was all hotel restaurant management. Transferred up here to the Akron City Club, where I was the catering director left and went to Crown Plaza Quaker Square, which was a space, now is a dorm. Left and went to Totally Cooked Catering, offsite catering company. Left and went to Stan Hewitt, where I was public programs director. And then 10 years ago, I started my own event planning company doing weddings, and I went from 5 to 20 to, I do about 35 personally a year, and I have 10 or so that other planners are doing, but I'm expanding that concept by offering like All Events Planned Associates program, which is a cheaper version of All Events Planned, and it's for my newer planners to get the experience that they need, and for brides to get somebody a little more inexpensive because they don't have 17 years of event planning experience.
35 sounds like a lot for a planner.
Okay, I think maybe 10 years ago you couldn't have done it because the wedding season wasn't as expansive as it is now.
Right.
But
yeah.
it's from, you're talking about January to December.
Yeah.
Fridays and Saturdays. You know, there are a lot of opportunities to do that.
But you're never not working.
I'm never, ever not working. I feel like I would be so relieved to go to a 9-to-5 job and only work 40 hours a week.
The grass is always greener.
I'm
baby.
not,
The
I mean,
grass is
I would
always
never
greener.
do it. I'm saying, like, people look at working for yourself as this amazing, like, you just lounge and it's so cool, but I found that you don't ever actually stop working is what it's come down to. I mean, you have time frames where you can binge watch Arrested Development, but, like, you're probably still working. And if something comes in, you stop and start working. Like, there is no off time when you're working, well, especially in this industry.
And especially, I mean, for you, it wasn't like you had, you know, you're working on 3 concepts right now.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, 5-10 years ago.
Right.
You were in a completely different place. So you're always looking for more, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's, as a wedding professional especially, you're just always looking for that extra edge or that extra little bit of, you know, education or
Yeah.
whatever it is. You're always looking for more. And that's what driven wedding professionals really want to do.
100%. The change in the business or the creative process could not be done alone. I could not fathom functioning as an independent person without, I have literally the most amazing people ever that work with me, and they're the whole reason that I could take the event planning concept and turn it into venue consulting and then start coaching. I mean, just, there's no way. I mean, but this industry is, I think, full of really amazing people too, that are great to work with, that are super supportive and really fun to engage with. I think it's great. Like, it's what I do.
Yeah, and you said there's a lot of great people. There's like no middle ground, I feel like, in the wedding industry. There's so many great people, and then there's nobody that's like, okay. There's like a lot of bad people that just.
I was going to say there's
away from.
1-star people and then there's 5-star
Right,
Yes,
people.
that's exactly.
No,
we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it works.
I guess the key is I wouldn't surround myself with
Exactly.
crappy people,
Right.
so that's
why
probably,
you're here.
Yeah, that's more what it is.
I think in a lot of ways, people that are planners tend to work on weddings that are specifically geared towards working with amazing vendors, because
Yes.
that's what, I mean, you would be a really bad planner if you worked with bad vendors, right? And so I think that's why I enjoy the weddings so much where there is a planner, right? Because it's like you're surrounded by other people that are amazing to work with.
Now, I have to say, I don't always work with amazing vendors, so that is not necessarily the case. I think that my concept in the company is that, you know, you don't have to be spending $100,000. You don't have to be having a wedding that you want to post on Instagram and every magazine. All Events Planned works with everyone. So there are times when people on really tight budgets find really cheap vendors, and it's actually so much more work to make bad vendors manage a good wedding, because it's almost impossible when they don't care as much, they're not dedicated to what they're doing, they're not experienced, they're not professional, and that's really, really hard to manage. But I'm not always working with great vendors, I will definitely say that.
So we actually are getting into the topic already.
Oh yeah, accidentally.
So every week we have the guests give us a topic that they want to talk about, and this week Brandi picked one that is hugely important and applies to literally every aspect of a person's wedding, and that is how to recognize and choose the right vendors. Brandi, why did you want this as your first choice when we asked you to join us today?
When you come into it, and I guess if you're not planning a wedding, I've tried to say like what this process is like. So if you're hiring a plumber or an electrician, you really don't know what to expect. So if you talk to one plumber and it's a subpar experience, you might decide to assume that that's what your experience will be with all plumbers. And you have this one opportunity to hire a plumber, and then whatever they did is what you think that experience is like. And so what I want and hope for clients is to know to look around. If you are hiring a vendor, don't just talk to one person and think that that's the experience you're going to have across the board, because it's not. You know, there's I don't want to say unfortunately, but I am going to. Unfortunately, there are thousands of vendors in every category somehow. Like every person on
In one city.
In one city, and absolutely, when photography makes me cry because I can't get brides and grooms to focus on like, no, you can't just hire somebody who has a website and shoots babies because they can't shoot weddings. So it's really, really important that going into it, they know what expectations they should have. There's really no standard. So the best planner X does is the best they think planners do. And that's not necessarily the case.
Do you find that you end up in situations where there are maybe where there is a vendor, or maybe there's even a couple sometimes, where they're not all that great? It's kind of they're kind of dragging the day and stuff like that. Is that because they're not, the bride and groom, or groom is not listening to your recommendations, or how does that end up occurring when you're going through the planning process with them?
Well, the worst thing that could possibly happen is working with clients, recommending the right vendors, going through that process, and then out of the blue, I get the, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe it, my sister's cousin's friend,
Oh no.
Does flowers, and I know we just interviewed 3 great florists and we got budgets and we did everything, but she's going to do it for $600. I'm going to definitely hire her, and isn't this exciting? Like, no, it's not exciting. You just made my job harder. I feel like there should be an upcharge. Like every time you book somebody outside of who I recommended, I'm charging you more because it makes my job harder.
Do it. That would have saved us, but we're not going to.
That's a great idea.
Well, what I think I talked with you, like sometimes I will work with clients on pricing if they're working with good vendors already, because I know my day is going to be easier, and I know some planners are completely opposed to discounting, and it's not necessarily that it is a discount, it's that I know some of the work that I'm going to typically have to do will be assisted with. And so it's going to make my life easier, and I would much rather have a good team of vendors to work with than just make more money off of a really, bad situation.
So when you're picking a vendor, you're helping somebody pick a vendor, what are the important things to look for?
Okay. And I'm assuming I'm going to definitely not be the popular opinion here, but people need to get back to you in like 24 hours. I am floored by how long it takes people to get back to me, and like I don't care that you're busy or that like you have stuff going on. Like your job is to get back to people, and I have, out of full planning clients, I have every single time someone say, I really want to work with XYZ, but I haven't heard back from them yet. Can you contact them and tell them to get in touch with me? I should not have to do that. And I usually say, hey, listen, if they're not getting back to you now, it's not going to get better once they've booked you. So first things first, they need to get back to you. You need to be important right away.
Yeah. I mean, if they're not getting back to you before they have their money, it's not going to change once they have like a deposit or anything like that.
No, they're setting that expectation for you right away.
I think in my former life, before I was doing photography, I was working for a company that Dan Gilbert, the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, spoke to us and said, if you're not doing it, somebody else is.
100%.
And we're the conversation here is, kind of focused towards brides and grooms, but talking to other vendors as well. Anybody that would be listening that's a vendor, I mean, you really kind of gotta get that kind of focus to be able to understand, okay, if I'm not doing it, somebody else is, because people reach out to 10 different photographers, 10 different DJs, 10 different bands, so on and so forth. And so you really got to be on it.
And I mean, I can say it in this company because, Eric, I know you get back to me via Messenger on Sundays, on Saturdays, not that you should have to work on the weekends, but I know that I can recommend Cleveland Music Group and know that if I need something or somebody needs something, I'm getting a response and I'm getting help when I need it. And that's why I've been committed to Cleveland Music. I mean, it's been consistent over the past 10 years. I know you guys are the same way, and I know that I can say you're going to get the service that you deserve. I mean, people are like, oh, it's fine, take your time, or, I know that I'm waiting to talk to a couple other planners, but they haven't responded yet. And I'm like, well, I mean, okay, great, like, good luck. Do you want me to contact them and tell them to contact you?
At a point.
Are you keeping track of how amazing this goes? I get a score at the end.
So response time is important. The content of the response equally is important, right?
Of course. I think that, that automated response that you get, like, thanks for emailing us, we'll be back to with you. And I think that's fine, but I think they know it's an automated response. You're not actually giving them a personal response to that. But as long as it's something, I guess, it holds it off. But I prefer that they're contacted back, that it's personal to them, their date, their information. It doesn't. I don't think it has to be that you send 2-3 paragraphs to every single lead you get, because if anybody's on the knot, we get 20 a day somehow, and they never ever follow up. It's fine. So I think it has to be geared to that. Do they want you to call them? Do they want an email? Just saying, like, hey, I'm available, here's what we have to offer, what can you do? I'm a big advocate for sharing pricing. I really don't know why some people need to meet with you before they're willing to share pricing, because it's a deciding factor for a ton of clients. And there's no
you could be wasting everybody's time.
I'm wasting their time, they're wasting my time, we're both not getting to the point. So I'm like, here it is, look it over first, I'm good at what I do, but if it's not in the budget, my experience and abilities aren't going to change how much money you have.
Right. Sorry.
Edit point. I have a follow-up question. I don't know if it's related.
It doesn't need to be.
Doesn't need to be.
Okay, so my question is this: do people reach out to? Okay, so you're a bride or a groom. You're reaching out to photographers. You're reaching out to DJs or bands or florists or whatever. Are those people looking through a list of, however they get to their list, whether it's on a website or whatever, maybe it's even on your recommendations? Are they going through that and they're only reaching out to the people that they could actually see working with, or are they just reaching out to people in your experience, to just see what's out there?
Okay, awesome question. Eric, did you have something to say?
Because I don't know. How do you look at a list and determine who you think you can work with without talking to someone? I don't know if that's work.
No, that's good. So for full planning, when you contact a planner, there are lots of us that do it. My process is I send you. I just say photography. I'm gonna send you 20. I want you to look at 20, and you're gonna narrow that down to 10, because photography is an easy one. You look at the site, you're not a big fan. If somebody's veering off course to not making sense to how I see their style and their personality, I will say, hey, why did you skip over these two? Because I feel like they might be a good fit, because maybe they don't realize, you know, what's available.
Is it the same 20 every time, or
No.
are you leaving stuff off the list based on the couple?
Based on the couple, it's never the same, because I just know it comes down to, and I tell my clients, for planners, for photographers, anybody in your space for that entire day, you need to get along with. So I don't care about anything other than, can you tolerate this person? I don't care if they are the best photographer and they're giving it away for $500. If you hate that person, it is going to be the worst day ever. So 20 to 10, I get some pricing and some ideas, availability. Now we've got 5, and then we're going to go down to just talk to 3. If you're not working with a planner, I've asked clients who have already booked people, they just go to the Knot or Wedding Wire, look at number of reviews, where they were listed, and they just click 20. And then it is done by who got back to me first.
I feel like reviews are like, I don't know, I have an issue with reviews on all the websites. I don't want to name the websites, but because a lot of them, they're getting those bad reviews off of there. And it's like, I don't know, I can't, I'd never be able to pick someone just based on
Well, it's not like
reviews on the website.
I'm not asking my clients to
right.
leave me bad reviews.
Yeah.
So if I were to have a client who was unhappy, and I've had 1 in 10 years, I'm not gonna be like, hey, could you please write a really bad review for me real quick? Like, no, I'm not. So I think that it's hard to establish, and a lot of people have said it's how many they have, so showing that they're, you know, doing stuff on a regular basis. So if you have 2, I don't trust that you've done enough at that
Right.
point. And I don't know how people do it. I had to find a wedding coordinator for someone getting married in North Carolina, and I was immediately overwhelmed. Nobody got back to me. I emailed 10. I finally heard from 2. 1 wasn't available, and the other one wasn't great. Like, so I mean, I don't know how you pick vendors when you don't have a wedding planner to like sort through the mess for you.
Yeah. I'm assuming recommendations from other people
Yeah, friends
are
and
hugely
that's always-
important.
yeah.
People that you trust, or maybe you saw them somewhere, or you were in a wedding.
Or they happen to have this amazing podcast, and you're like, oh, of course.
Yeah.
Does that ever happen? Like for photography, it's like Uncle Bob, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so does there ever like an Uncle Bob version in like the planning realm where
Oh, are you kidding
where
me?
like you just said like the example of like, you know, brothers, cousins,
Yep, always.
father-in-law's daughter recommended this person.
My bridesmaid wants to be a planner. She's gonna do my wedding for free. My sister's best friend, you know, loved planning her wedding, so she's gonna help me with my wedding for free. And I'm not opposed to that. I understand that sometimes just that's what happens and you're gonna go with that, but I can guarantee you it will create more stress trying to work with someone who's trying to figure out how to do this than it would just hiring somebody. Because I don't want to tell everyone they have to hire the best planner in Cleveland every single wedding, because some people cannot afford it. But if you're hiring subpar planner, find the best subpar planner, though. You know, I'm still back to the advocating for talk to enough people so you feel good about hiring mid-level planner or entry-level planner.
Yeah, they may be great. They're just getting started off. So
Absolutely.
You could get, bargain pricing, and turns out to be someone that's going to be the biggest planner in the city in the next 2 years.
My planning prices when I started out were $800 for day of. Like, horrified now. 10 years later, they're $1,850, but that was how much they were when I first started.
And that's something I had written down to talk about it, but you pay for what you get.
You do.
A lot of the times, but sometimes you're going to get that diamond in the rough that's just starting out and is going to be amazing. But you really, really do pay for what you get.
You have to, but you have to talk to enough of them to understand. And even if someone comes to me and they say, this is a great meeting, I think you're amazing, I want to book, I will 100% of the time tell them, absolutely not until you've talked to someone else. Because you need to know why you booked me and that you made a great decision versus you just talked to one person and felt like it was right. I have lost a few clients that way, unfortunately. But I feel like in the end of the day, they found the right planner for them. I don't want to be the only planner for them. I want them to find the best planner.
Mm-hmm.
And there are good planners in Cleveland. I have a lot of really good people that I can refer if I'm not the right fit.
Yeah, I tell people that in photography all the time is, you know, we're not we only are able to take, 50 some odd weddings a year.
Right.
And that's, our service isn't for everybody.
Yeah.
Just like every planner's service is not for everybody.
Absolutely.
Find what's right for you.
I absolutely agree, and I wish there was a way to like market, like very specific to how you actually are. And I think as far as my brand goes, I'm really trying to showcase that like we work with anyone. It doesn't have to be over the top. As a matter of fact, I don't want over the top, very no word I say is going to be okay after that. I want somebody that wants an amazing day for everybody. I don't want somebody that's like, this is all about me and, me.
I'm the best wedding planner there is. I know what's right. I'm going to tell everybody exactly what's happening all day long.
Right. No, I think the key that brides and grooms don't have to appreciate, but having all of this experience in the hospitality and in almost every different position, I know to prioritize making it work for everybody versus coming in only as a planner ever and thinking, well, this is all about me making sure I get my way and this works for me. I want everybody involved to work together so that we're all having an awesome day. So then all the guests are having an awesome day. If I'm a dick about everything,
there's a shocking amount of rude vendors out there.
I hear it all the time.
Crazy.
I have to like preface when I go to new places, like, hey, I'm nice.
Yeah, but hitting on your point, just the flip side of the coin of, where you were at 10 years ago versus where you're at now, I think we all have an evolution as vendors and professionals in this industry. I look at photos from, when I first started, and I'm like, ooh.
I know. I mean, it's horrible.
What was I thinking
when
there?
When I said $800, I was like, what was I doing? Oh my God.
And you don't have that kind of knowledge, like what happens if this happens, and on the flip side of that coin is the professionals that have been doing it a really long time, and that's their system, and you follow their system. And I feel like that's where the rude factor comes in a lot of times. Is this is the way that I do things. Right. I feel like there's always that thing with photographers and videographers, or photographers and DJs. I mean, we've talked about that a million times, So, it's... No,
I agree too, and I think I knew from the beginning, which again, I valued very much, was working in hospitality. I already knew bad stuff that could happen, how crappy it is when your vendors don't make a good, solid team. So I knew coming in, like, it was never going to be about me. I was never going to be the center of the day or of what was happening, and I always wanted to make sure everybody had input. And I tell my clients, your photographer knows best for timing for photos, not me. I'm going to give you some timing, but default to them. Your DJ especially knows how to manage the dance floor, how to manage a crowd. I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to say that we should do it at this time, but if we get into the day and they see an opportunity for it to be different, we're just going to have to do it that way. Like if you're working with Eric, because it's amazing.
And that's the thing with planners. I always, the one thing that my gripe is I can't get people dancing for 4 hours. Nobody wants to dance for 4 hours, so I'm always subtly like pushing things back. Like, it's okay, we're moving late, it's fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's I'll when I have a planner like you or a Melanie.
We're not talking about other planners while we're talking
about me. I only said her name. But I mean, you guys are awesome, and the day of, it's just like, you guys are going to listen to what I have to say, and I love it. And talking about photographers and DJ relationship, there's been so many times where a photographer has never said a word to me at all. It's like, what? Don't you want to like know or make sure that I'm filling you in? I'm always going to do it no matter what. But don't you want to know when stuff is happening? And they just are like, just totally ignore me.
Well, the key, and I think about this happens all the time, and again, it's really hard for us to sit here as what I would say are good vendors and understand how this happens, but I don't always work with good vendors, like I said.
Story, I want to hear a story.
Even with first dance, father, daughter, mother, son, these really critical moments, I will have to, the DJ might start this and the photographer is not in the room. So like I have to manage getting everybody together, letting them know like, hey, we can't do this. Like you can't do it without everybody in here. And I tell my clients the same thing, like I'm going to corral everybody and we're not going to do anything until I make sure you're ready you're ready, I'm ready, and we get everything situated. It's happened
Okay,
so
rag on the
many
photographer,
times.
rag on the photographer, I get it.
It is not you.
No, yeah, it's rarely a photographer. I get venues a lot that are pushing things to start. And
Yeah, I agree,
nobody's
for
around.
sure, for sure.
And it's like, what difference does it matter to you what time we start something? We're only going until this time anyways.
Yeah.
Why do we need to start dancing at 8 o'clock and we're going until midnight?
Well, that's what I tell people too when hiring a planner. We work for you. It's not that your venue doesn't care about you and love you and
Don't care about
but they don't, because their job is to stay employed with that venue. It is not to make sure you get everything you want. That's my job, because I work for you directly.
Right.
I do think, though, on the venue side of things, a lot of it
Not all
centers
venues.
around.
I don't want to.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of it centers around dinner and getting a hot dinner on the table for
Yeah.
everybody. In
So
so many
it's Dustin.
instances, that's what it is.
Well, and that,
so.
most of the time, that's not even controlled by us. That's dependent on the toasts. God, the toasts can go so long. And
Toast, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had a few times where I've suggested to a venue, hey, do you mind, can we get the salads out before the toast? And then you end up, I had God, it was like a cousin or something, give a 45-minute speech. And I had been saying, we got to get the toast out, we got to get, or the salads. And then we ended up with an hour and a half of dancing, and it was an amazing crowd, and I was so disappointed because I wanted to dance with them for 3 hours. But it happens.
Can I say one last thing? You were talking just a minute ago about something. Now I forget what it was. But I wanted to talk about just the idea of being timid and how I think that we've all worked for somebody else in this industry.
Yeah.
And it was those people that pushed us in that role as, an assistant or whatever it was, to go and outside of our comfort level. And I think that, when you have a photographer that doesn't talk to the DJ, or
Yeah.
you have a venue person that's not talking to the planner or whatever it is, it's because those people aren't comfortable going outside of that box.
Right.
And so it's really important, I think, that you would agree when you're selecting vendors to find people that are outgoing and people that are, able to manage going outside of
That's
their
actually
comfort
awesome.
zone.
And I was talking to a client today about picking a florist, and she was like, well, what in the world do I do to figure out what florist is the best florist for me? Because they're all going to do flowers, if I'm recommending them, they're all reliable, successful, reputable companies. And I said, you need to have a phone conversation with them. And she said, well, what in the world am I going to talk to the florist about? And I said, it really actually doesn't matter what it is you talk about. It's, can you connect with them? Do you feel comfortable leaving that in their hands? Just carry on any conversation, because you'll know if they get you or not.
Right.
If they're responding, if they're connecting with what you're saying and your ideas, and have that 20-minute conversation, and then decide from there, do you want to work with them? Because of course, I can recommend 10 awesome florists. You have to narrow it down and pick one. How? And it's, do you connect? Did they respond? Where are we fitting within the budget?
Yeah, we're just checking off all my boxes here because I had comfortability written down on my list.
I mean, I think it's
so
number
important.
one.
High five.
I think it's key, and I think that's when I first started, I would take anybody that sat down with me that wanted to book me. And as I've progressed, I've found that if you guys don't connect, and typically we see it as a vendor first, because brides and grooms are very emotional and excited to get moving. A vendor being more practical, I won't take people that I don't feel comfortable with, or that I don't feel would be comfortable with my planning process and how I want to work, because I don't want either of us to end up having a bad time.
Have you ever had to put your foot down when someone's picking something, or they did pick something and say, no, I can't do it?
I did. I think I've had people when they've used somebody, and I always offer to interview a vendor if I don't know them. Like if they found Joe's cousin, sister's brother's friend, I'll talk with them, let me see their site, I'll do that whole process for them. And I have had people to sign a contract stating that I didn't necessarily believe that it was in their best interest to hire this XYZ vendor, and that they were agreeing that I had said that, and that they were choosing to move forward anyway. It's very uncomfortable because I think they feel offended.
Mm-hmm.
But I really,
Who, the client or the vendor?
the
or both?
client, I don't talk to the vendor about it.
But that's got to be getting back to them somehow, right?
Potentially.
If it's like a, that family friend or something.
Oh, I see, yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually done it to a family friend because it's a sensitive spot. I had an amazing wedding at the Hyatt Arcade at Christmas. Beautiful, just everything about the wedding was stunning, glittery gold, beautiful. And the uncle shot the wedding, and I can use pictures, and it was sad.
I don't work with family anymore.
Yeah, I think it is too.
It's tough.
For me even, I don't do family weddings. I don't do, if friends want help, I will sit down and consult with them for free, but I won't do weddings because it's really hard to find people that respect the level that you work at when they kind of know you. I did little quotations here. Know
Right.
you.
And that's something I kind of fell into this year is I don't really want to do stuff for friends or families, families, or anything like that anymore because they don't realize that this is what I do literally every weekend.
Yeah.
And they're underestimating what I'm able to do and, how I'm controlling the evening.
Yeah.
And it's super frustrating.
I want to ask because we're talking about good vendors, and I think 100% of people could agree. Okay, 95, if I have to be like super realistic, could agree that Cleveland Music Group is top. Great service, great quality, consistent. I mean, if I've ever had issues, they are managed so well that I forget that there were issues in the first place ever. What if someone can't afford Cleveland Music Group? What if we're coming in and of course they should, and of course I'm going to say you should, and you find the money, and I want to make a statement here that I carry, and it's very, very important. It is better to have an amazing wedding with 50 people than a subpar letdown wedding with 300 people.
Mm-hmm.
People do not want to listen to that, but I feel like if you can't have a great wedding because you have to invite 300 people, don't have it. It's better to not let down 300
I
people
say that week in and week
with
out.
a horrible day.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Crappy food, some low-end, music system playing. Just get rid of some of your guests. Don't sacrifice the quality of what you could give the people that are the most important to you.
And family dynamics play so much into that.
I know.
But it's really important to have honest communication with your immediate family to make them understand, hey, this is what it could be, and this is what you're kind of forcing me to have, and it's not going to be anywhere near what we really want it to be.
Right.
So.
Back to that though, Cleveland Music Group. So let's say you got a client, Eric, and of course I recommend you guys 100% of the time, but they just can't afford it. What are people supposed to do in that situation? I'm not saying you tell me who you'd recommend. I'm saying, like, even for me, I find myself like, what do I do? And so I have found cheaper wedding planners that I can occasionally.
I mean, it's tough. We're not gonna, recommend another DJ company. It's just, it ends up being what it is. It's, we have to pay musicians, we have to pay DJs, and we have options. And I'm not going to turn this into a sales pitch, but we have like options where you don't get to choose the DJ, and we choose the DJ for you. Yeah. Which is how the majority of, DJ or production companies work. Is you just buy a package and then they assign you a DJ. Right. But we're talking about picking the right vendors.
Which I'm terrified about.
You can't do that. You
No.
can't trust someone else to pick a vendor for you. So we don't even pitch that until it comes to, we don't have this much. So we have the lower pricing where we have that option, but we can't recommend somebody else. It's just not going to happen.
No, and I don't want to
I get it.
Look at what do we do for all the people that can't spend the money, but there is a dynamic of
if you can't afford $600 for a DJ, you probably shouldn't be having a wedding.
Again, and it absolutely goes back to what I was saying is stop having a wedding for 400 people that is just low quality across the board. Mm-hmm. Have a wedding for 75 people. You're going to talk to 300 of those 400 people anyway.
And I get this is getting into something else. I don't know if this is off topic or not, but
have we stayed on topic at all?
I'll have a wedding, and I can do everything in the book to try and get people to dance. But if the bride and groom aren't dancing, the crowd might be older or something. Then it just turns into if you knew you weren't going to dance, if you know your guests weren't going to dance, why are you having a dancing reception? do something you like to do.
All the time I get, find me the best DJ because
Right.
I want everybody
Yeah.
to dance. And I have said all the time, it's not going to matter if your DJ does a million magic tricks. If your guests don't dance and don't like dancing, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Nobody's pulling that out.
Bowling alley. There's tons of awesome bowling alleys. Have a bowling. If you like to bowl, throw a
Bowling
bowling
alley.
party.
I will say I have been surprised by. I look at some crowds and I'm like, oh, this is not a dancing
Oh,
crowd.
yeah,
And then all of a sudden it's like
But the
a
bride
full
and groom
dance
know.
floor. They
Bride and
know
groom
for
know.
sure. Yeah.
I mean, I've been wrong all the time. You know, I take a look at a crowd and it's older, and I'm just like, there's no way. There's no way this is going to happen. And then I end up with 3 hours of awesome dancing. I'm just like, all right, that's great.
I had
And
a
you know what?
client pay.
There'll be, you know, weddings where the crowd doesn't dance, and I still get the bride and groom coming up to me and saying, oh, that was so much fun. Like, oh, okay, well, that's all that matters to me. I still go home with my head hanging pretty low because I felt like I did a bad job, but
Oh my god, I never thought about that. Oh.
what?
I never really thought about that. Like that is disappointing to you
No,
as a
if
DJ. I wouldn't.
I mean, even if I say a name wrong, I like write the whole wedding off. I'm like, that was terrible.
that
But
is terrible.
that's-
Actually, I can't make you feel better about that.
It doesn't happen very often. I try not to.
So,
It's
so
the
I
same
had.
way. It's the same way with every vendor. I feel like, right? I mean,
Oh.
like I mean, my getting ready location with the girls may not be the best lighting, but
Yeah.
I do understand what you mean though. You go home at the end of the day and you're like, oh, I wish I would have had that one back.
Oh,
You know?
I mean, weddings are notoriously just chaos.
Right.
So I don't think there's any way I've ever left a wedding and been like, okay, that was 100% on it, perfect, magic, I did everything right. I feel like I've never let anyone see me panic, so like that's the key. Like
It's all about micro adjustments.
Yeah.
All day. Melissa calls it the blissful chaos.
Yeah, I don't feel like
it's blissful.
a lot, but yeah, I mean chaos. I'm gonna stick with just chaos.
Just chaos.
Just chaos. I don't think blissful. I mean, I love weddings, but like I mean, the next day,
Yeah.
it's not my feet, dude. I'm emotionally like fried because I put everything into that day and like making sure nobody else experienced stress or panic. I kept it all, and like the next day, I can't even function. I'm like, no.
That's why I like working with planners because I don't have to have that feeling the next day.
No, it's horrible, and I don't think people, and Eric, I think you said it too. Like people don't understand how much it takes out of you. It's not just, can you just walk around my wedding and boss people around, or can you just play music behind that table? Can you just grab a couple pictures? What's the big deal? I mean, when you're a good, successful vendor, you are committed and really emotionally invested in what you're doing, or else you wouldn't be a good vendor. I mean, I don't know who's detached and like running around doing successful things, and, like not interested at all in what they're doing. They're
Party bus drivers?
party bus drivers.
Yeah, that's true.
Some.
A to B.
Some.
We went over 15 minutes. Give me some more.
Yeah.
Not all.
There's some, and we'll get into that another time. I've worked with some really great drivers before. And
Can you
it's
guys do a
like, yeah.
whole podcast where like
drivers?
where we like you muffle our voices so you don't know, we can talk shit about like all the bad experiences that we've had. I don't have to name names. I just really think there'd be a great opportunity to just like get out all of this stuff that I've held in.
I feel like that's how this kind of started when we were sitting at a table at a wedding at Windows. Me and Dustin and Melissa just complaining about stuff for certain venues or certain people, and it's like we need to talk about this.
Write a book.
Yeah.
I thought about that too. It would immediately be dated because of how quickly
Yeah.
everything changes.
Mhm.
And the brides and grooms don't know what we know about the venues and the vendors, so they don't have that experience coming in. So that's why I think it's so valuable to take advice from the vendors that you are working with, to listen to what they're saying, because even if I can't tell you every incident that happened, if I don't think you should work with, XYZ, there's a reason. And it's an important enough reason, because I will very, very rarely not, like, specifically not refer someone and say, like, no, I don't think you should work with this person. And, like, it's a very short list. But I would never, ever share that. But there are
You
people.
can just email me later.
There are people that I always refer, including music group, and I hate to, like, sound like I'm plugging this, like, you're the sponsor of the...
You this week, Scott last week.
I know, and I don't mean to, but it's really important to me to get good service and be respected when I'm working with someone, and have someone take my clients seriously and make them feel important, and that does not happen often enough, as far as I'm concerned. So when you have, and you guys, One Red Door, I'll plug you guys too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, same thing, like, or else we wouldn't all be sitting here, but like, same exact thing, and that, for photography, that's very rare, that you're getting anything other than just very random intermittent service, and people just don't realize how important that is until they get it, and that's again back to why you have to talk to multiple vendors. Then you'll know, like, when I tell people to go talk to other wedding planners, they come back and they're like, oh my god, no, you're absolutely the best. I mean, the best clients I've had have said, I interviewed every planner, 8 planners in Cleveland before I booked you, and I wanted you because you were the best out of them. And they appreciate and value and listen more so than my clients were like, oh, I loved you, let's just sign right now.
And that goes back to that point of just having somebody that's taking charge. It doesn't, planner, yes, gotta take charge. Photographer, yes, gotta take charge at certain times. DJ, gotta take charge at certain times. Even the florist, you know, you just gotta have people in place. And that's, I always tell people, just on the topic of how, I get the question a lot too. How do I choose other people? Just pick people that are in control of the day and know what they're doing. That's the number one thing from my perspective.
Here's something new that I've run into, just booking bands and DJs. So you have a venue, and you book the venue, speaking as the client, and I don't know if they tell you this beforehand or after you sign, but they say you have to, this is our entertainment company. If you don't sign with them, you have to pay a fee.
What?
Okay, well,
That's
that's
a
a good enough answer.
I've never
heard that one.
heard that.
Well, there's a couple of those.
Wow, I would be horrified.
I wonder if there's a photography fee too.
I know that, I can't, I forget, never mind, I can't say it.
Yeah, we don't want to need this.
And I was like, oh, I got this, never mind. Now I'm like, nope, I don't. I can't imagine that they wouldn't know ahead of time that happened, but I know that a lot of packages.
Yeah, I don't know the actual dynamics of when they're made aware of it.
You'd have to tell them in advance,
You would
right?
think
It'd be
so.
in the contract.
Yeah, I mean, that would be that much worse if you don't know ahead of time, but.
I think you get out of that contract.
I will say though that wedding professionals are notorious for putting in weird things into contracts. I feel like
Okay,
I've heard a lot of weird stories.
Started with like 2 paragraphs, and every situation I've run into where it's become complicated, I've added more to my contract to cover.
We're up to 7 pages now.
I'm up to actually 47 pages. You have to initial every page too that says I read this thoroughly and I agree with everything she said.
Yeah, we have that too.
Yeah,
it's really important.
Yeah, it really is so important because I mean I like things to be done timely, and I want to be able to manage them with you. Like, so there's very clear information that says, like, you are going to actively be involved. You are going to respond. You know, this process is something you're invested in, because I don't know what to do with you if I'm not hearing from you. If you're not getting back to me, I can't book vendors for you.
I might be giving away a little trade secret here, but in every single consultation I have with a bride and groom, I tell them this same thing, almost verbatim. And I say, I don't care if I ever talk to you again. Obviously, I want to. Right. But it's absolutely imperative for you to go and shop around for photographers and compare gallery to gallery.
Yes.
And contract to contract.
I say the exact same thing to every one of my clients.
It's so important.
That they have to see, and especially, God help me with photography, compare what you're getting to what the other person is offering, not pricing to pricing, because $3,200 here and $1,800 here might mean that you're paying $4,000 for your photos with that $1,800 photographer. Like, you absolutely have to get yourself a spreadsheet, mark out 8 hours, 2 photographers, or engagement. What is included? What are you getting? Because you have no idea. And I tell every person that talks to me, if you're not going to hire me, I'm at least going to make you leave this appointment and be able to pick a good, solid planner by knowing what to look for and what you should be asking them. Because if it's not me, I don't want you to end up with somebody wrong for you just because you found somebody cheap. And again, if you can't afford it and you need a cheap planner, interview a couple cheap planners. Get the best cheap planner. Don't just say, well, I saw this person on Facebook and they do day of for $250.
Oh, Facebook.
I know, or I don't know.
Craigslist.
Craigslist. Oh my God. I just start advertising on Craigslist. Just see what happens.
Do it.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, I don't go on Craigslist for anything.
Oh, I don't know. Did we talk about the Facebook groups last week?
I can't deal with it. I cannot deal with it.
It's just like the seventh circle of hell.
I'm going to publicly discuss this, and I'm going to be unpopular opinion in this point for some people, but I don't even know how, as a photographer, someone can post, I want really good photography, it has to be the best, it's so important to us, but we're only willing to spend $800. And yet somehow, 42 comments later, they have options, because I'm floored.
I think in any regard, and this might go back to the question that you posed to Eric earlier, with how to recommend another DJ service or something like that. I think that just wedding professionals in general, they're willing to almost they're willing to try to get the business as best they can by adjusting whatever it is that they normally do, which is really weird to me because we only have one package.
Yeah.
And so it's like, this is our package. If you don't like it, there's, we're the right photography group for somebody else then.
Yeah.
And so.
My date's going to get filled anyway.
I don't like saying it like that, but that's true.
Well,
it's
it's
true.
I'm not
right.
trying to be mean about it, but like somebody's going to book me. If it's not
100%.
you, that's okay.
Yes.
Like, you shouldn't feel bad. I don't feel bad. Let's not do this.
Right. But people will adjust. People will, I'll give you an hour of coverage for your $800 budget or something like that.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And they'll adjust, but that's such a wrong way to go, because if somebody's not able to provide you what they normally do, and you're looking at their website.
Yes.
And you're seeing what they normally do.
Yes.
What you're paying for isn't what they normally do,
like,
because
sure,
they
$800,
customize it to
no
you.
edits.
Yeah.
No, you get 50 pictures.
Yeah.
You gotta, you have to know that. Although I don't know because I see those posts and I swear to nothing. I can't even watch. I can't look at them. I mean, it stresses me out so bad. But they can't possibly be functioning in a good outcome with only charging $500. Like, I would love to tell you that I could charge $500. I cannot charge $500. So much time and energy goes into wedding planning, and I get a ton of, and I see them posted too. I just need a wedding planner for the day of, just to show up and make sure everything's okay. And can somebody do that for $500? And the idea that somebody could show up on your wedding day without having prepped you, planned you, organized you, I absolutely cannot show up and say that I can manage your wedding day, because how in the world do I know? I don't know. I have no idea what you've done. What if you planned 45 minutes for salads and 22 minutes for dinner, and you hired vendors that I don't know. I would give up my business before I would start doing that, because I would just be horrified at how that would turn out. I'm trying to be really politically safe here, but that vendor posting
this
thing.
This is the circle of trust, Brandi.
It is. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's public. So somebody's gonna hear this, and I could get a really nasty email.
Just stay away from Facebook groups.
We love our Facebook
it.
group. Brandi, how dare you say that we shouldn't charge $800?
Can anybody recommend a reasonably priced DJ? Reasonably priced is my least favorite phrase now. It's just like...
I responded one time and I said, what does that mean? Because I have no idea what you think is reasonably priced. Quotes again. No one can see so many quotes. And that's not a real statement. And now,
say, what's the cheapest someone can DJ for?
That's what they should say. Where's the cheapest you got going?
Don't you usually work on a percentage system, as far as this is allocated percentage for this category and that category?
Right, but if you only have $5,000 for your wedding, even if 30% of your budget's, you're still...
I think there should be, what there should be is one of those percentage things, but it should correlate to hey, if you only have $5,000 for your wedding, this is how many people you should expect to have.
God,
you know what I mean? You should make that.
I think that, but people don't listen to that.
You'd be a millionaire. People would be downloading that all day long.
All events pie charts.
Because I really want more to do. Definitely committing to...
I mean, it's just a quick algorithm. You got it.
Got it. It's fine.
You don't have anything on your plate?
I have nothing going on. Literally, nothing. I picked up a couple new venues. That's super exciting, because I love the idea of helping venues serve my clients better. Because so many of them are missing.
That's fantastic.
And the key to that is that I'm not looking at every venue and saying you have to be at the level of Hillbrook. I'm saying if you're at mid-level, be the best mid-level venue you can be. don't be crappy because you're mid-level.
Right.
If you're a low-end budget venue, be an amazing, only offer the basics, but offer them the best you can. And that's kind of what I want to be able to do with venues, is not come in and change everything you're doing so that you can only get high-end clients. It's just serve every client awesome. Not, so, I can't name venues. I have a venue I won't work at anymore at all, ever. And
I have 3.
Certainly. Well, I have 2. One I just won't. But 1 I won't because it's horrible. I mean, their service, their quality. I don't know how they book, and I guess they don't care. But you could get better clients. You could start making more money. You could be a better space if you just focus on what you do well and doing it and focusing on that. Just that.
I'm just writing down to ask you later what venues you're talking about.
There's one I will totally I would share with you openly, but not over the now that I'm like terrified now. Like, never mind. I don't want to. I will never go back there again if someone paid me double my fee.
Oh God, I want to know so bad. I think we might be able to put a bow on the topic. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about as far as picking the right vendor? Did we discuss that at all?
We touched on it
briefly. A little bit.
Briefly, I feel like it wasn't a thorough discussion, of course, but we covered some pieces. I think we covered a lot of what I think you need to look for, and a big thing for me in the planning process is just trying to help everyone, even if they don't have $80,000, $50,000, because they still deserve to have an amazing wedding, but certainly they have to respect what that is, and it's not that you can't look for an inexpensive photographer or DJ, but you need to respect and value what they're doing too, not just want them cheaply because you don't think they really do anything, because that's unacceptable to me. That's
Everybody has priorities.
Well, yeah, they should be good quality people.
They should be the same priorities that we have.
Yeah. Yes. Go into debt to afford the best vendors for your wedding day. And pay it off for the next 20 years. It'll be amazing. No, I would never recommend that, by the way. Please, God, no.
I'm just going to isolate that and use it as a sound bite.
Absolutely. I want you to play that everywhere forever now.
That'd be great. So we're going to wrap that up. Next segment here, Brandi doesn't know about this. Every week we do a 1-star review. So
It's our favorite topic.
I'm terrified immediately.
I go on Yelp, pick a city, and then I pick some kind of wedding vendor, and I look for their worst review. And we're going to read the review. I'm not going to name the company.
Oh, okay.
And we just kind of discuss what this person said about this particular
Well, this
vendor.
is awesome. All right.
So this is from Sacramento, California. I don't know why I picked it.
It's a 1-star review from Yelp.
1-star review from Yelp. That's the only place you can really get good 1-star reviews.
Do I have Yelp reviews? I don't even know.
We can look later.
That's all right.
I think you would know if you did, though. They'd probably.
Yeah, somebody would have said, "Hey, you suck."
So this is from this is for a wedding planner in Sacramento. Her name is in the name of the thing, so I'm going to change her name. We're just going to call her Tina.
I love how you have your copy redacted.
Yeah.
Oh, I just need to make sure I don't say it.
Yeah, it's good.
I love it. It's perfect.
So here we go. 1-star review for a wedding planner in Sacramento, California.
Name Tina.
My husband and I hired Tina for day of coordinator and met with her 4 weeks before the wedding. During our first face-to-face encounter, Tina was very unprofessional and rude to the events coordinator for our venue. Apparently earlier that day she had a bad phone conversation with the events coordinator that made her react the way she did. I left the meeting alarmed about whom we had hired. Shortly after, I emailed Tina regarding the incident. She apologized for her behavior and said 90% of the time she does not lose her temper.
She lost her temper.
Tina focused way too much on the timeline with very little attention to detail. She sent several final timelines that had inaccurate information. At first, she sent the timeline to all the vendors without going over it with my husband for me. This created a lot of confusion. 2 weeks before the wedding, 2 of my vendors refused to work with Tina. During the mishap, I had to intervene as Tina was passing info to the vendors that created a bit of animosity within my vendors. I explained the miscommunication incident caused by Tina, and the 3 vendors worked great with each other after. Throughout the last 3 weeks, I asked Tina to communicate any changes, info to me before passing it to the other vendors. as I noticed a lot of miscommunication between Tina and most of the vendors. The last week prior to my wedding, Tina was extremely rude, and my husband had to intervene a few times and explain to her that she was coming off a bit rude via email. She was upset that I was taking her timeline apart and told my husband that I needed to change my attitude so that everything could flow smoothly. However, her very last final timeline 3 days before the wedding had me, the bride, getting picked up by an Uber and dropped off by a limo. Her response was always, "The timeline can be modified." Though little details can confuse people, especially if she is providing the backbone for the vendors, overall the wedding day was fantastic thanks to my amazing vendors. However, the planning process was more hectic than it should have been. On a positive note, Tina is very responsive to emails.
Okay, what I want.
Hold on 1 second. Best part of it, she only gets mad 90%.
Only 90% of the time.
Only 10% of the time does she get mad.
That little guy? Don't worry about that little guy.
I wanted the review to start out with, I posted on a Facebook page looking for a planner who would order for $500.
I got this great recommendation from someone I didn't know.
Someone who said, hey, I'll do it for $500. That's horrifying. I don't understand why the contract wasn't just terminated. I mean, I would just say no thank you at that point.
Why did the schedule change so many times? You would think there would be some basic things like, hey, we're going to have getting ready, then the ceremony, and then picture time, and then a reception.
And then Uber.
I was like, fine when you said she wasn't getting along with the venue coordinator. Okay, but then it was lost her temper. So, like, not just not getting along, but, like, created an issue scene.
That only happens 10% of the time.
But don't worry. It's only 10% of the time. It will be the entire time with you, but it will.
You're my 10th wedding of the year. Oh shit.
This is it. Like you're getting this full 10%. The rest of my clients don't, but you get it. That's horrifying. I would probably.
I want to know why the other vendors refused to work with her. I want to know exactly what happened, and I want to talk to those people.
I'm guessing there's not a response on this one.
Did she follow up and leave?
Yes, wrong.
What? What?
Yeah.
This is the greatest experience. I love this.
So we do have a response from Tina.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
So I'm gonna go ahead and read that. It's a little bit long, but.
Oh my God! What?
Well, all right. Here we go. This is Tina's response. Sorry, I'm gonna change the bride's name. Hi, Shireen. I am happy to hear that your wedding was fantastic thanks to your vendors.
What?
I appreciate your feedback and will use it to better serve my future clients. I take my business seriously and continuously strive to provide the best possible service to all my clients.
Except for that 10% of the time.
On your wedding, my assistant and I went above and beyond to ensure that you had an amazing wedding day. Number one, the venue did not have enough staff to do setup of the ballroom, so my assistant and I stepped in and helped the venue manager place the flatware and glassware on the tables. Number two, we helped the florist with placing all the decor elements. Number three, the lanterns were placed on the table. Oh, the lanterns that were placed on the table had LED candles that began to melt inside the lanterns. Since this was a fire hazard, I pulled all the lanterns off the guest tables and removed the LED candles. Also, I pulled the real candles out of the lanterns.
What?
Yeah, why did that? Sorry, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
And let them cool down. They were then put back in the lanterns and placed on the tables. I also notified the florist regarding the LED candles melting. Number four, when the venue ran out of food at the buffet and I got a status from the venue staff when additional food would be ready, I also updated guests who were not fed yet and gave them a status report when the food. Doesn't make sense.
Amazing.
Number five, right before the toast, I helped pour sparkling wine since there was not enough venue staff to do this. Number six, I went around to each table and handed out the macarons. Oh, it has macaroons here, but I'm assuming they were macarons because everybody gets that wrong. Since guests were not eating very many. Number seven, I didn't read number six before I'm reading this right now, so that one's pretty funny. Like here, eat this.
I don't know where she went above
she turned
beyond.
into a server.
Hold on, we got one more. Number seven, during the second half of the reception, I helped the venue staff bust the dishes and remove bottles and cans from the tables. At the end of the day, it sounds like you had a great time at your wedding, so I am very happy to hear that. I also feel confident in my work because I was still able to coordinate with all your vendors during your wedding and was even able to step in when the venue needed it. if anyone has any questions on this review, please feel free to reach me at.
Oh, we're let's email. I want to email her. Can we call her right now?
Oh my God, that would be so great.
First off, she never addressed any of the issues.
She didn't address anything. She didn't take any accountability for anything that she did, not even the 10%. She didn't address one thing that the borough
nothing,
said.
and just said, I had to do some stuff that wedding planners do on wedding days.
Right, she listed...
We do all that stuff.
She listed little chores that she did.
But that's what we're there to do.
She was supposed to do it, so why are you listing these things?
So you and an assistant, and you did a bunch of stuff, and really...
Congratulations, you did it!
Yeah, you did your job. Awesome. Of course it sucks if the venue's not followed, but that's why we're there in case of emergencies, and if we need to step in, that's what we do. Good job. That is the...
Why were there LED candles and real candles in the same lantern? I'd love to see what that looks
melting,
like.
though?
The LED candles were melting.
I've never had an LED candle melt.
Well, if they're in the same
if they were on fire,
enclosed area as a candle...
Why would... What?
I know why. Why is that happening?
Wasn't she... Who picks up the centerpieces?
Right. Why... I don't understand any of it.
Maybe they were provided by the venue. The venue didn't seem that great.
The florist. She said the florist.
Oh, the florist.
Yeah,
but if she wasn't getting along with the venue because she doesn't like it, she's going to say that the venue sucks. And that she had to do all this extra work.
Yeah.
Because of the venue. I would love that venue to respond to that review.
I wish I had.
And all
I
three
knew
vendors.
the venue and I could look up their Yelp page.
You should have
oh my goodness.
emailed her prior to this and had a follow-up that we could have discussed.
The venue actually had a question about the review and contacted her via email.
Yes. That was awesome. That was awesome. And that was a real bad review. I've seen people get bad reviews that are really just way off. You can see what happens.
There's nitpicky stuff.
Just stuff where you're just I didn't see the photographer for 15 minutes and just very random where you're okay, well calm down. That was legitimate awful.
No wedding vendor should be called rude that many times.
I don't know.
And still get paid.
Who has to use intervene so much? If you had to intervene that many times on behalf of the person you hired to do your wedding, I will tell people halfway through, if you don't feel comfortable right now, this is a waste of your money. And we shouldn't do this. I'm happy to no one ever has thought that, but I always feel if you're still panicking and stressing out, this isn't worth it. But clearly that is the case. I want to see all her reviews. And you're going to give me the name after. I'm going to start stalking her.
There's a lot of exchanging of names happening after this.
There was other reviews. There was only a couple other 1-stars on her.
Yeah, but you shouldn't have any.
They were too long. I couldn't use them because they were much, much longer than these.
They were thorough.
Yeah.
People were really, really angry.
Very mad at her.
They had a notepad the day of.
They were taking notes the day of their wedding. No, I feel but the problem is when you are crappy leading up to the wedding, they're going to be looking for things that you're doing wrong. And that's the bigger problem.
Yeah, always. Yep.
So you have the whole
perception,
process. Yes.
Perception is reality for everybody.
And anything little stuff
especially in weddings
that I would maybe do, that I would do anyway. I stand and watch what's going on. I don't know, someone would say oh, well, she just stood there. But that's what I do. Or she put the cards away early. You could find things that are really random if you're already angry. And that's why I would never, that's why I tell every bride, if you just don't feel great, let's not, because you're not going to feel better. I've never had anyone do that. I would do that. I would rather lose a client midway and let them find somebody than force them because of my contract to continue on and hate the process.
Right.
I wish, there's so much more information I wish I had.
I have so many questions.
Tina.
I won't be able to sleep tonight, actually.
Oh, Tina.
I need to follow up with Tina. She needs my coaching services. Can I email Tina and say, hey, it can help you be a good
I have a feeling Tina's not in business anymore.
I have a feeling Tina wouldn't listen.
She only has 3, well, there's only 3 reviews actually on here.
Oh.
Yeah.
You should have Tina on the show. I want to hear her talk about her temper.
Oh, we only have the good people on this show.
Oh my god, that's the best.
Maybe we is there a way to secretly have someone horrible on without them knowing that's why they're on?
That would be a little
Record a little
It would be a
intro
little fun
beforehand.
of us for sure.
It'd be great.
I would love that. Is that what you did to me?
No.
Surprise!
Haha, we didn't want to tell you.
So that was our 1-star review.
That was awesome. I love it.
The next segment we do is feedback. So this is when we're pumping these out week after week and we're able to respond to you guys on a regular basis. You know, we'll be going over email and tweets and Instagram, that kind of feedback from you guys. But we don't have that yet because we're not publishing these. So come January, once we're doing that, we'll do it. But Brandi, was this good for you?
Yes.
Was it good?
That's a funny question.
I really, really tried to keep it together. Can you not ask that question to anyone else because it's just wildly.
I specifically wrote it that way for you because I knew you would appreciate it.
I'm very professional, but that caught me way too off guard. But yes, it was really incredible. I had an amazing time and I love talking. So.
Is there?
Dustin is now out of commission.
Is there anything that we can do to improve this for guests like you?
Probably not ask that question at the end because you lost Dustin.
You're the only person I'm going to ask that question to this way.
No, it was awesome.
That was the best question we've had yet.
That was the best review I've ever heard in my life. No, that's amazing. You should never tell. I guess they'll know once they start listening to it. I love being surprised by that concept. If I knew ahead of time, I would have been waiting for it.
Yeah, that's why we don't tell you.
I'm gonna start finding some and
it's
blogging.
Fun. It's not as easy as you would think. I devote too much time to it.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. I won't do that. I feel like 1-star reviews in Cleveland, you're just out of business. That's not you don't have a thing
Yeah, or you just. I mean, if that happens, then you're on Facebook all day.
You're on the Facebook groups, offering your services
hey
for
guys,
$100.
Craigslist.
Craigslist, dude. Craigslist.
So the next, as we're wrapping up here, last thing we do is we get a hashtag for the episode. So as people are discussing it, they can hashtag it, and we know which episode they were listening to and what they're talking about. So I wrote down a couple things, ideas for a hashtag. Do you have any ideas for a hashtag for this episode, Brandi?
No, I should have had prior notice to this question because that's really, you put me on the spot, and I'm not very good at this.
Dustin knew. Do you?
Yeah, I think my hashtag today is going to be hashtag Planet Right.
Ooh, love that.
And I would
Is that like the planetary
Planet Right? Yes, Planet Right. I would say awesome attracts awesome. I'm trying to get that on a T-shirt.
Oh, that's a good T-shirt.
I know.
Good,
Thank you.
I had a couple written down. I wrote down hashtag never not working and
Ooh, I like that too.
hashtag all events pie charts.
Pie charts. I think all events pie charts. I'm gonna go with. I feel like that's the most creative.
I vote that one for sure.
Yeah.
Feel free to use any of them that you
That's
would
too
like.
many. It's too many. I'll just go stick.
Yeah, don't use all of them. Just pick one.
All events pie charts. I'm going with it.
You need to use.
I'm
all
talking
those
to the
in your
listener. I'm
video.
not talking to you.
Oh! I thought we were
I don't want to make them.
voting,
No.
Oh, like a.
Just
We
throwing stuff out
we
there.
have followers that are going to listen to this.
Listen, my YouTube channel has 5 subscribers, maybe 6
6
with you,
now.
Eric. Eric 6. I mean, that's massive.
I'll be 7.
Will you please? I don't
Yes.
know how you get people to subscribe because I don't subscribe to channels. I don't even think about it.
I subscribe to some channels.
That's why Instagram exists.
I know. I just need more subscribers so that people take me seriously. I want to be a serious YouTuber.
That's big money.
I want to be able to cause commotions at venues and get them shut down.
I want to be on your YouTube channel.
Yeah. Oh my God! You and Melissa, we talked about
Yes,
this already,
yes.
and the dogs.
Everybody wants my dogs.
I love the dogs.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're recording next week with someone that Dustin is very familiar with.
Melissa?
My wife.
Yes! You guys are going to be
Hi.
the best.
So we'd like to throw out the topic that we're going to be discussing
Ooh, yeah.
next week, so you can give us your hot take on it. We're going to be talking about all things getting ready, leading up to the wedding.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got your vendors,
Mm-hmm.
then the last few weeks leading up to it, and even just the day of. Hot take, go.
I don't know what hot take means, but my feedback on that is, one, when you have a wedding planner, we aren't doing anything because we're finished the month of. I want everything complete, answers done, go. Day of the wedding, I think people miss the opportunity for how much fun that is and how awesome that time frame can be and how important it is to have a photographer with you for all of that. Because that's when you're, that's probably the only time you're relaxing and, having fun on your own schedule. And I really think people miss that opportunity by not getting together or by, trying to go too many places, hair and makeup and here and there.
And by not picking the right vendors.
And by not picking the right vendors, which is
Boom.
going to ruin everything. I'll tell you what, every single mom, grandma, whatever, if they had a bad photographer, that is all they remember about their wedding. It does not matter what happened. That is the number one thing They're like,
We
the
are
pictures-
talking about the 80s, remember?
I know. They were really good. I mean, 90s maybe too, but that was terrible too. A lot of things were terrible then. That's my hot take, I guess.
Got it.
Okay.
So last things, we got plugs.
For like sponsorships,
Once
Speed
this,
Stick?
no ads, they're plugs.
Oh,
We don't
You're
have
gonna-
any advertisers yet.
You're gonna plug yourself, right?
Speed Stick? That was not.
We're
Nobody
gonna
watches
throw all the
Between Two
links.
Ferns?
No. Oh,
Come
yeah,
on.
yeah,
Speed Stick was always a sponsor.
yeah.
We're gonna throw all the links in the description on the website.
Oh yeah, there's so many.
So Brandi, I have the longest list of plugs for you.
Okay.
I have alleventsplanned.com.
Mhm.
I have Instagram, all events planned, all events consulting.
Mhm.
Is all events coaching on there?
No, it's not up
No.
yet.
Facebook, I have facebook.com/alleventsplanned. I have facebook.com/alleventsconsult.
Yes, couldn't fit consulting into that.
Right. YouTube channel.
YouTube
Which
channel.
we just talked about. Be her 7th subscriber. Beat Dustin to the punch.
All events planned.
YouTube channel, all events planned.
Get
What
on
am I
it.
missing?
That's it.
Is all events coaching on Facebook?
It's nowhere yet. It just happened. People started calling and asking for it, so I started it.
Okay, it'll be there soon.
I have a website.
Yeah.
Not public yet.
Okay,
I can only do so much, Eric.
sorry. My plugs, you can find me on social media at thebeardeddj, thebeardeddj.com. Follow me on Snapchat. I didn't plug Snapchat yet. It's just bearded DJ. No, Snapchat's fun because you can see my baby.
Why do people do Snapchat?
Snapchat is awesome.
Okay, tell me about
I'll
why.
explain it to you.
Okay,
I'll
we'll do
explain
that.
it to you.
I don't get it. It's just messaging, right? Like that.
No, it's
No,
not
no,
messaging.
it's
No,
not
you
messaging,
throw.
no.
It's like a Instagram story. Like Instagram stories took their idea from
Okay.
Snapchat. It's basically the same thing.
Okay, we'll talk about it. I still don't
Yeah.
know. I'm old.
Dustin, hit us with your plugs.
So we got the website, onereddoorphotography.com. We have Instagram, that's Dustin_ORDP, or as I prefer to look at my wife's,
Yeah.
Melissa's better
Yeah.
with the Instagram. I gotta plug her, Mel_ORDP, that's MEL_ORDP. And that's all I'm gonna plug.
That's it?
That's all I'm plugging this week.
Okay.
I'm good
And-
after that.
Of
Not the
course,
party bus.
at the Bearded Bride on Instagram, thebeardedbride@gmail.com. If you have any questions, we got a website working. That is that's me, thebeardedbride.com. Yes, I'm getting a head nod. We are on a podcast.
I know, I started quotes.
So that is it for us, everybody. Hope you join us next week and let us know what you think about everything that we are doing here. Dustin, this is best podcast yet?
I think so.
Don't take away from Scott. Like, I don't know.
No, it just gets better every week.
Oh, okay. Don't, then it's
That's going to be my sign off.
That's why I was
Better
saying
every
it.
week.
Better every
That's-
week.
There
Better
you
every
go.
week.
Bye.
Bye.
We got real loud.
Listen to me real quick, because I don't know how much time I have here.
Someone
Let's
calling
kill
you?
that.
Hold on.
No. I have the best